T-minus exactly 2 weeks until the NFL draft begins. You should be here with us that night. We'll be live 30 minutes before the draft. We're going to have a whole live draft show, live Dynasty reactions, live breakdowns, etc. Analysis from ourselves. Paul from Pure Potential is going to be here. We're going to have our team. Ryan Brett's going to be in studio. Everything going on that night. So make sure you've got on your calendar Dynasty Domain Live Draft Show 2026 coming up 2 weeks from tonight, and we're so excited. And it also means that our league mates are about to get active, because if we know anything about Dynasty Fantasy Football, when you are in a league that doesn't trade all that often, or maybe trades a little bit but not a ton, when do they get active? Well, they get active around the rookie draft and around the season. We are at the rookie draft, ladies and gentlemen. So what do we need to do? We need to give you some direction on guys that we are investing in, that we're going and buying in our Dynasty leagues. Who are the guys that we're recommending the most when we review people's teams, when we try to help them with their rosters, give them guidance? Who are the trade targets that we're giving the most? These are the guys that we've been buying in our own Dynasty leagues that you could potentially be buying in yours. Drop a like on this video and make sure you're subscribed if you play Dynasty. Let's do this, starting with A.J. Brown, a very, very common buy candidate for us right now at the moment. A.J. Brown's an interesting one because, we said, I think you've said it on a video multiple times that you thought, okay, A.J. Brown's a pretty good buy low. In the event that he gets traded, he would obviously go up in value, depending on if he went to the Patriots or wherever. And, met with a lot of pushback. He's not going to get traded. Howie's not looking to keep him. Everything that the Eagles have said suggests that they want to keep A.J. Brown, which why wouldn't they? I think it's all very interesting. A.J. Brown can still be a buy low, or maybe not even a buy low. Not all these guys are buy lows. I say this every time. It's probably a buy at price here for A.J. Brown, because I think he's valued pretty accordingly. A.J. Brown can still be a buy even if he's not going to get traded, and I think that's something that that we need to kind of wrap our brains around a little bit, because with A.J. Brown, he's being valued right now. We see him go in the 6th round a lot, sometimes late 6th round in Dynasty startups. And I just think from a production standpoint, when you're looking at a guy that 3 of the last 4 years has been a wide receiver 1, and 5 of the last 7 years has been a wide receiver. This is a dude when you're talking about from a production standpoint, even though he is getting up there in age, he's now 28 years old. He is one of the better return on investments from a production standpoint in the price range that you're getting him at in Dynasty leagues right now. And so it's less about if he gets traded or not. But in terms of if he does get traded or not, I am going to say this. Peter Schrager releases 2 mock drafts a year. They're usually treated with some high respect, because Peter Schrager's mock drafts usually don't just come off of player evaluation and vibes. He normally just tries to get as much info as possible from NFL GMs. Yeah. It's all basically just chatter from the NFL. And so there are some interesting tidbits in Peter Schrager's mocks from time to time. I would say more than most.
Boston to Philly was the most interesting one by far.
It essentially insinuates that A.J. Brown wouldn't be there. So I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibilities that A.J. Brown does get traded during the NFL draft or around the NFL draft. Now, again, does it matter for our case for him being a buy? No, this is a guy that last year averaged 14.7 points per game in fantasy football and full point PPR leagues. That was 10th among wide receivers, okay? So this is a guy that still was a wide receiver 1 in points per game last year, despite really, the Eagles did end up throwing the ball quite a bit more last year than they did the year before. But Devontae Smith was still heavily involved last year. You aren't going to have Dallas Goedert there, most likely. And so you've also got that. If they don't bring in a Studley tight end, then who knows what the target volume there is going to be like for the rest of the supporting cast. So A.J. Brown, again, a guy that's scoring 15 points per game. The big thing with A.J. Brown when he's being valued in the 3rd and 4th round last year and the year before is he's going to naturally lose that value. We talked about this with Nico Collins in our last sells video. With A.J. Brown, he's now reached the point where I think his production, paired with the fact that he could get a new situation, paired with the fact that he's only 28, and I think he's going to be productive in Dynasty until he's 31, he's at a price now in the late 6th where if I'm going to buy him here and he's going to produce, I'm just ready to let him die on my roster for the next 3 years. Because, again, looking at the guys going around him, he is returning on investment a little bit more than those guys from a production standpoint. You see him drafted very closely to Devontae Smith. We're obviously going to talk about him as well. But Jameson Williams goes in that range. A.J. Brown and Jameson Williams tend to go back to back. He goes around guys like from a running back perspective. Kyron Williams goes in that range. Zay Flowers from a wide receiver perspective goes in that range. Travis Etienne, Josh Jacobs, Javonte Williams. And I think that A.J. Brown, from a production standpoint, has as high a ceiling, if not a higher ceiling, than most of those guys. Not to mention, again, when you're looking specifically at wide receivers going in that range, I mentioned guys like Zay Flowers and Jameson Williams. I think the difference between A.J. Brown and those guys is A.J. Brown is still capable of being an alpha wide receiver in the NFL. I think it's inherently obvious if you watched him play last year that he still has that capability. It's just a matter of whether or not he is on a team where he's going to get the target volume to perform like that in fantasy football. And so, again, he's only 4 spots ahead of Alec Pierce, 5 spots ahead of Jordan Addison, 6 spots ahead of DJ Moore. He's behind Jalen Waddle. He's behind Brian Thomas barely. I mean, all of these moves I'm totally cool with. So in terms of moving for A.J. Brown, what am I doing here? I love down tiering to A.J. Brown. I love down tiering if you are a contending team. I love down tiering from a guy like Luther Burden to A.J. Brown plus. I love down tiering from Nico Collins to A.J. Brown plus. I like pivoting to A.J. Brown from certain players, from Zay Flowers. I like pivoting from Zay Flowers to A.J. Brown. I like pivoting from J-Mo to A.J. Brown. I like pivoting from Jalen Waddle to A.J. Brown, to be honest with you. And so I like those pivots. In terms of up tiers, I mentioned Addison, Alec Pierce, DJ Moore plus to get to A.J. Brown. How big of a plus you have to add is dependent on your league economy and your league market. But again, A.J. Brown sits pretty firmly in a range where I feel pretty comfortable trading for him. I think he should be ranked about 5 to 6 spots higher consensus. And so because of that, I think he's a good target right now, regardless of if he does get moved or not. I'm not making a prediction one way or the other. I'm not sure if he gets moved. I think he's a good buy in fantasy football, especially in Dynasty right now.
Yeah, we're not 100% certain, but you can read the tea leaves as well. And the reality is the front office can say whatever the front office wants to say. It is factually documented that they shopped A.J. Brown, that there were 2 suitors at least for A.J. Brown, and it was the Patriots and the Rams. McVay has literally gone out of his way to say that we told Davante Adams that we were shopping him, and we've been very open and honest about that, indicating essentially that they are looking at some sort of Adams plus compensation for A.J. Brown and that type of swap. But look, the reality is, the Eagles saying that they don't want to trade A.J. Brown also doesn't mean that they're not going to do it. Like this
Sure.
is one of the biggest times of the year. There are 2 times of the year where coach and front office speak are just crazy, and it's draft time and it's training camp time. So like Avery was saying, if worst case scenario, A.J. Brown actually is not traded, then you're really just seeing his value maintain, because everyone is factoring in the question mark of whether or not A.J. Brown is actually going to be moved. And that's why his value hasn't moved. People are anticipating and hoping that he gets traded, but it's not enough. It's not factual enough and certain enough that it merits him rising before the move is actually done. This is in contrast to somebody like Kenneth Walker, who before Kenneth Walker was even moved, he started creeping up boards quite a bit because everyone knew that he was going to get a big extension. And whether it was with Seattle or with a different team, his value was going to go up and people were ready for that. Not so is the case with A.J. Brown. And with Devonta Smith as well. People don't know. And this is going to be our second buy, Devonta Smith. This is in lockstep with what we said about A.J. Brown, but a little bit different because he does have I think he has like a year and a half or something on A.J. Brown. He's actually older than you would think. He was an older prospect. But if A.J. Brown is moved, it doesn't matter what wide receiver they draft in the NFL draft, if they draft one at all. It's wheels up for Devonta Smith. I think what we've also seen from Smith over the past couple of years, since A.J. Brown has kind of started to be a little more inconsistent from a production standpoint, is Devonta Smith has been, he's been awesome. He's been a high-end wide receiver 2, a low-end wide receiver 1. He's been, wide receiver 9 in 2022 is where he capped out. On a points per game basis in 2024, he graded out as a wide receiver 3 in total points, but points per game, he was obviously higher than that. And then last year, when you look at some of the splits, again, he was very up and down. Again, this situation is pretty gross, but it's no denying that Devonta Smith is one of the more talented wide receivers and route runners that we've seen in the NFL. So this is very contingent. Again, on his value moving up is contingent on A.J. Brown being out of that situation. But here's what we know for a fact with Devonta Smith. He's going to be a wide receiver 2 if A.J. Brown stays. And he remains a mainstay because of that. And therefore, he is one of the more insulated wide receivers in that range, where at 27 years old, he hasn't really reached that point yet where he's going to see this cliff and just fall down like crazy. He's not priced up where like Nico Collins is, a 27-year-old wide receiver, where you know that he's going to lose a lot of value.
Sure. Smith
is already going in the mid to late 6th round. And with that price point, it's like, yeah, I can take a shot on that, where someone like Jalen Waddle, for example, who's the same age, roughly, finds himself in a situation where he's the last man standing. And then, oh, by the way, he actually ends up getting moved. And he's the number one option in a way better situation. Yep. Like this is, to me, very, very similar to Smith, where you could see him going from the bottom of that tier to the top of that tier, which is exactly what happened with Jalen Waddle this offseason. So again, these are very contingent market plays, contingent on what the Philadelphia Eagles actually do with both of these guys, primarily A.J. Brown. And again, the reason we're comfortable encouraging you guys going and investing in these guys is worst case scenario, A.J. Brown is not moved and both of these guys maintain.
They're going to maintain
They're
the price.
They're going to be priced exactly where they currently are being priced. So there's value upside with zero risk.
You're essentially buying a lottery ticket. If you hit the lottery, you get all the money you win. If you don't hit the lottery, you get your money back for buying the ticket.
Right.
Or you get it in the form of production, which, again, both these guys will produce next year as well. And so now let me give you one where you may not get your money back. This one, I'm just going to warn you. I put this on here kind of to be ballsy. This is not for everybody. There are some of you that are very risk averse in Dynasty, playing Dynasty, and that's totally fine. But if you like living on the edge, if you like taking huge gambles and huge risks and getting potentially large value wins and buying into uncertainty,
living on a prayer,
this is your guide. Do you want to actually play the lottery where you could win or lose? Cam Scadaboo is the lottery. He is, because what you're looking at is Cam Scadaboo, when you're looking at his value graph over the last couple of months in Dynasty, has steadily declined in Dynasty value. This has been primarily because reports started as early as a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, that the Giants were looking to add a running back in free agency, rumored around Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne, guys like that. And then
when that happened, he immediately lost a round and a half of value.
So then he went down in value. He's the running back 21 right now. When you're looking at his keep trade cut graph, he was the running as high as the running back 13 in the season, was hovering around the running back 15 or 14 in February, and since then is now the running back 21. So you've seen him lose some value over the offseason. Consistently, we've seen Cam Scadaboo in our startup drafts fall to the 6th, 7th round, etc. Cam Scadaboo is a risky buy because if he gets Algiered, you lose the value, right? And I think it's possible. I think it's possible that the Giants, who, have now John Harbaugh, have Jackson Dart, have Malik Neighbors, I think it's possible they were to draft a generational running back prospect in Jeremiah Love in the top 5 of the NFL draft. We think it's probably going to be them or the Titans. If they do draft Jeremiah Love, Cam Scadaboo is going to lose any value he has. He'll go from right now being in around the 8th round to maybe 9th round even right now to the 11th, 12th round. He will be, after a very promising rookie season, he will be a premium backup. And premium backups just don't hold that much value in Dynasty, and rightfully so, because you typically can't start those guys. Now let's talk about the other scenario. What if the Giants draft a wide receiver? Or
what if they just don't draft Jeremiah Love?
Or, I don't know, an offensive lineman that they might need now.
And that's the question that nobody is asking right now. Everybody is so hyper-focused on Scadaboo maybe getting Algiered that we refuse to explore the possibility of him maybe not getting replaced. And if he doesn't get replaced, that's the biggest Dynasty value win this offseason, folks.
Cam Scadaboo appeared in 8 games last year. He averaged 16 fantasy points per game in those games that he did play. He had 24 receptions and 200 receiving yards in those games. He had 100 rushing attempts for 400 yards, so average 4.1 yards per carry on the Giants, mind you. If Love doesn't go to the Giants, where will he end up? Probably the 6th round. Probably 2 rounds of value is what you're talking about gaining here with Cam Scadaboo. If they don't draft a running back as a team that is a perpetual dumpster fire, if I might add, which we would know. We're Colts fans. So while I think it's a realistic possibility that they do draft Jeremiah Love and he loses his value, his price has gotten to a point now where, again, on Keep Trade Cut, he's 88th ranked overall. So you're looking at a price now when he's going in the 8th, 9th round.
I'll take that risk.
I think the lottery ticket has gotten pretty cheap at this point, to where if you lose the 8th, 9th round value player, what you trade for, darn, you lose it. But if you win, it pays off huge. This is one of the biggest lottery tickets that you can take a shot on going to the draft. Again, if he's too risky for you and you think they're going to Algier him, I wouldn't buy him. Honestly, I wouldn't. I personally have not gone out of my way to buy Cam Scadaboo yet. Will I? I'm not even sure. Maybe in 1 or 2 leagues I will, because I want the thrill of. But honestly, I already have a lot of Scadaboo, and that's kind of the other thing, is I'm kind of waiting.
I think I got him once or twice this offseason, and I moved him once or twice this offseason on 2 other teams because I got an overpay.
So let's take a look at just where he's ranked right now. in Dynasty because, again, I've got him at 88th overall. He's value adjacent to Bryce Young, Sam Laporta, Kyle Pitts. I trade all those guys for scat if you want to. If Kyle Pitts or Sam Laporta is your backup tight end, I'm trading him for scat in a heartbeat. But even taking a shot on a guy like Alec Pierce, Malik Willis, Daniel Jones, Bashal Tutin's not a bad one there. If you're a rebuilder, you have DJ Moore, you can flip it for Scatteroo and try to get a big value increase.
The value upside opportunity of almost every single one of those assets is definitely no better than Cam Scatteroo, that's for sure.
No, it's definitely not. He has the highest value
better.
ceiling, immediate short-term value ceiling than all of those guys. Some of those guys may have long-term value ceiling. Short-term, Cam Scatteroo has as much to gain from a value standpoint from the NFL draft in 2 weeks as any player that we have talked about. And so when you're talking about Cam Scatteroo, again, is it a lottery ticket? Yes. Is it extremely high risk? Yes. Is it extremely high reward? It is. And if you like buying into uncertain situations, which a lot of times in Dynasty, that pays off, this is your guy. Again, whether or not you decide to is up to you. Cam Scatteroo is by far, in my opinion, the running back that has the most to gain or lose from the draft in 2 weeks. So go buy your lottery ticket if you're feeling Cam Scatteroo. If you don't think he's going to get Algiered, I'd go buy him now because he will gain 2 rounds of value as soon as they don't draft a running back in the first round.
Next guy that we're going to have here is a mainstay, probably my favorite mainstay wide receiver right now, and he is on the high end of those guys, but it is T. Higgins, who is generally, we're seeing like a 5th round wide receiver. Sometimes we'll see him fall to like the late 5th. I think that he is one of the safest investments in that range, not only at price, but the reason we have him on here primarily is he is in this sweet spot, this absolute sweet spot of wide receivers who have a lot of value upside, say your Marvin Harrison Jr.'s, your Luther Burdens, your Rome Odunze's, your BTJs, but they have a ton of questions, right? Those are all your upside premier wide receivers. And T. Higgins is usually in the mix somewhere there. T. Higgins is the only guy in that range at 5th round prices where you are getting guaranteed high-end production with Joe Burrow, and honestly, I don't care if it's Joe Flacco or anybody else that's playing backup quarterback there, he's still going to produce because he just does. He's always a high-end wide receiver too every single year alongside Jamar Chase, and his boom games are, again, they can be league-winning, playoff-winning week to week. He is by far my favorite down-tier target when you're talking about down-tiering from non-elite wide receivers. We had in our sales video last week talking about Nico Collins kind of just being a poor market play where he's currently being priced. There are some other guys in the range of like let's say Garrett Wilson, who is, those two guys are technically labeled as foundational wide receivers. If you are a standard value team who's looking to compete this season, or heck, even a reloading team who's lacking a lot of depth and needs to spread out their value and get a guy who is just as insulated as those players are, there really, in my opinion, is no reason to not just down tier from those two specific wide receivers and go get T. Higgins plus. You're getting the same amount of production upside from T. Higgins. And again, he's just as consistent. He has just as many questions as well. He gets as banged up as Nico Collins does every single year. He's in a way better situation as a wide receiver 2 than Garrett Wilson is as a wide receiver 1 in New York. And again, this isn't like, oh, we're anti-Nico, we're anti-Garrett Wilson. Like, we kind of are anti-Nico's price, but it depends. Not so much with Garrett Wilson, but again, if you're going to down tier from a foundational asset to a mainstay wide receiver, T. Higgins is your go-to. T. Higgins is your guy, because it really isn't going to be negatively impacting your production. This is called a production lateral move, where you get additional compensation on top that results in more production. This is textbook raising your flex spot upside through down tiering, right? T. Higgins is the best example that we have right now of a guy that you down tier to, and you down tier to him as a standard value contending team this year to raise the production upside of your flex spots. How do you do that? You get Higgins, production lateral move from the guy you down tier from. The guy that you're getting on top has production upside like Javonte Williams, and you're adding him into your flex spot when you previously had like Trey Tucker in your flex spot instead. To me, this one is really, really simple. Again, he's not somebody that I'm saying, oh, you're going and getting him and you're going to get a massive value win and he's going to shoot back up to where he was valued at the 2-3 turn like he was a couple of years ago. No, that's not the case with him. He is 27 going on 28. He does have a cap value ceiling, but I do see a scenario, honestly, where from now to August, he's kind of one of those guys who moves up maybe a half round and you get a little bit of a small value win there because people realize, again, guys like these, you just know they're going to produce, you know they're going to be there, and you know they're going to score points for your fantasy team. And you can, as a reload, you can capitalize on that if you get him now and then move him later closer to the season. Best way to get a production upgrade if you down tier, best way to get a small value win, in my opinion, in this mainstay range for a guy that is guaranteed to produce more than anybody else who's priced or around where he is at the wide receiver position.
Now, the next guy we're going to talk about is, I think there's a pretty big lesson to be learned here, and I'm going to say it's Bucky Irving. Now, I have a fully prepared defense of this buy because this is a pretty good lesson in how we play Dynasty and how we advocate that you play Dynasty as well. If you don't play Dynasty this way, obviously this strategy won't work. But you'll remember Bucky Irving was on the list of players in the very beginning of January, first week of the year, where we said, yeah, we really don't like his price in Dynasty right now. Now we are going to put him on a buys video. And so you're going to ask yourself, a lot of people will ask themselves. I think there's a pretty good cohort of people who completely understand what we're doing here. For the people that don't, let me try to help you and as best as I can understand what our strategy here is behind putting Bucky Irving as a buy the same offseason you have him as a sell. How can that be? You guys are just constantly flip-flopping on players. Admittedly, I will tell you, yeah, I do flip-flop on players. And the whole entire reason for that is because Bucky Irving, when we had him as a sell, let's just look at that video and let's see what we were telling you to sell Bucky for. Bucky at the time was being ranked from an ADP standpoint as the running back 9 or 8, depending on your source, in fantasy football, in Dynasty, right? Right now, when you're looking at most average rankings for Bucky Irving, he is being ranked at about the running back 14. So what does this mean? If you sold Bucky Irving at running back 8 prices, he has since dropped 5 or 6 spots in running back rankings. You sold him before he lost the value. The move to sell in January was absolutely unequivocally the correct move because he lost a pretty decent chunk of value here, guys. Not only that, what was the specific advice that we said when we said Bucky Irving was a sell? Well, let's take a look at that. Who did we say to pivot to from Bucky Irving? To James Cook. He was being valued equivalent to James Cook at the time. If you made that move, James Cook has maintained his 3rd and 4th round value. Bucky Irving is now going not only not in the 3rd or 4th, we've seen him go in the mid-6th in a couple of our startups recently. Mid-6th in multiple. And maybe that's happening in your league, maybe not. And this is why it is a price-dependent buy. Again, we had a comment on the picks video the other day where somebody said, oh, so 27 firsts are a sell, but not too low, so they have to be just a hold, right? And to that I say, you are simply not understanding. Like,
how can there not be an in-between?
It is not always buy only, sell only, hold only. It is... There are conditions to these buys and sells. No, it's not their holds. It's sell for this price, and if you don't get the price, hold. There are allowed to be qualifying statements with buys and sells. And that's how it was with Bucky at the time. Bucky was valued next to James Cook. If you pivoted to James Cook, you were in pretty good shape. Now, who did we tell you to down tier and up tier for? In terms of other moves for Bucky Irving here, we said up tier, down tier to Breece Hall. Okay, Breece Hall is more valuable now. If you got Breece Hall plus for Bucky, congrats. Chase Brown, more valuable. If you got plus, congrats. Kyren Williams, probably value equivalent. You got a plus, congrats. Saquon Barkley, value equivalent. You got a plus, congrats. Josh Jacobs, just a little bit less valuable, but if you got a plus on top of Josh Jacobs, congrats. Who else did we say to pivot to? Travion Henderson, more valuable. Christian McCaffrey, more valuable at the moment. Quinshon Judkins, more valuable. Okay, who do we say to up tier to? Achane, Hampton, Genty, or Jonathan Taylor? Fact of the matter is, a player can absolutely be a buy and a sell in the same offseason. If you made the moves on this video that we posted January 6th,
last
3 months ago.
Yeah.
You won. You won because you cannot get these returns for Bucky Irving in Dynasty anymore. And again, the question's going to be raised. These guys, again, they flip-flop on everything. How can you go from a buy and a sell in the same offseason in Dynasty? Flip-floppers, always changing their opinion. They think we don't have their receipts. You guys don't think we think about this stuff? Again, I would challenge you with this if you're playing Dynasty the right way. If you're playing Dynasty and paying as close attention to the market as we do, you would have a large handful of players that will change from a buy to a sell and back in an offseason.
Guys, you have to flip-flop if values are not stagnant. If values are stagnant and they are always priced at where they are being priced, then we can have a totally different conversation. But that's the whole reason everybody plays Dynasty. That's the whole reason we play the game.
Yeah, it is.
The ebbs and flows of the Dynasty market, guys, moving up and down boards all the time. If you want us to have the same take on a player until the day that we die, I don't really know what to tell you. Like
we're not going to do that.
We're not going to do that. That's bad dynasty. That's how you end up being a hard rebuild. That's how we've seen people end up getting hard rebuilds.
This is a good example of where people say, these guys told me to sell Bucky, so I sold him, and now they say he's a buy.
Go back and buy him.
If you sold Bucky, congrats.
Good job.
You did we told you to do the right thing. Yeah, we did. We told you to sell Bucky and you lost a bunch of value. You don't have to buy Bucky back. Maybe we're not talking to you to tell you to go buy Bucky back. The people who sold Bucky.
If you want to, you can.
If it's possible.
Sure.
But okay, I can't get him back now. Okay, that's fine. This take is for people who have never owned him, who can now buy him at a much, much cheaper price than they could have before. And again, it's all price and league dependent, whereas, again, if he's being valued in the 4th round still in your league, you probably don't want to buy. If he's going in the 6th round, you probably do want to buy. Oh, so he's just a hold? No. If he's being valued in the 4th round of your league, don't buy him.
We're trying to compensate for every league
price.
In existence. It's really hard to cover that wide span of league differences.
So hopefully that makes sense. Like, with the way we play, yes, we are going to have guys listed as buys and sells at some point in the offseason based on their price. If Bucky Irving is ranked at ADP 36, we have his current, what we think his price should be at 48, and he drops to ADP 60. He is past where he's a hold, and he becomes a buy. You have to adjust to the ebbs and flows of the Dynasty market. That's the whole point of playing Dynasty. It's the whole center point of our strategy.
It stonks.
You got to play the stonks, baby. And again, like, if I sold Bucky, I'm probably not buying him back. That's fine. We're primarily talking to people who didn't own Bucky. And if you sold Bucky, again, you did the right thing. That was a good move to sell Bucky Irving.
Talk about conditional as well, where you can have a buy and a hold. If you own Bucky Irving right now, you hold Bucky Irving.
Yeah.
You don't sell him.
100%. And so hopefully that makes sense. Like, again, those are the types of takes where, honestly, they're the ones that encapsulate our Dynasty strategy the most. People tend to not grasp those takes the most. Hopefully I explained it well enough to where it makes sense why we would have a player labeled as a sell 3 months ago and now they become a buy. His price has dropped too much. It's very simple. It's the same thing as playing the real stock market. If you have a stock that you think is overpriced and the stock drops to where you think it should be priced and then drops 20% below that to where it's 20% below where you think it should be priced, you're probably going to buy the stock, right? Same thing with Dynasty players. It's exactly why. Again, if you made the moves with Bucky in January, I'm proud of you. You did great. You did not make the wrong move. You did the right thing. We sold our own Buckies, but now if you haven't owned Bucky and you can go buy him, he's not a bad player to buy if, again, he is being valued at like 6th-round prices like we've seen in our leagues. It's conditional. It has to be. Almost every buy or sell in Dynasty is conditional, and it's conditioned on price. And again, if you have to have a forever sell, forever hold, forever buy, I'm just telling you, like our channel, we can't think we don't do that. We just don't. It's nuanced for us always. And so Bucky Irving, go check his price and see if he's a potential buy in your leagues.
Bo Nix is going to be our next guy here. Bo Nix has been honestly really fun to monitor as a Dynasty asset since he came into the league. I remember the price that he was going at when he was first drafted, and the public opinion of Bo Nix was a lot lower in the Dynasty community than it was for prospect analyzers and also obviously the Broncos, because they're the ones that drafted him higher than a good number of people expected. And lo and behold, he ends up working out, and the price that you got him at initially, you got a massive value, and he's kind of like the Jackson Dart. Or Jackson Dart was the Bo Nix of last year. That kind of value trajectory, like a mid-first round pick. And he ends up doing really, really well. And like, he was an older prospect. So in the 3rd year of his career, he is 26 years old already, or the 2nd year of his career, and he's already 26 heading into the 3rd year. Bo Nix broke his ankle in the divisional round against Buffalo, like the 3rd to last play of the game. It was kind of freakish. It was very unfortunate for him, and I think that has honestly, I think that has in a way factored in a little bit to what his off-season price has become. And some of this has been slightly corrected by the Jalen Waddle investment, where they paid what they did for him, getting Bo Nix kind of a true number 1 wide receiver, where he just had Cortland Sutton and then a bunch of who knows who. After that I think that was a really nice boost for him and like the consistent weapons that he'll have for the next few years. But Bo Nix, in my opinion, is one of those guys who is one of the safest quarterbacks in the range that he's currently going. There are a lot of QBs obviously up top who you know what the price and what the cost is to get them. The Drake Mays, Josh Allens, Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson, Caleb Williams, Joe Burrows, your top 2-round guys. And then you see a really, really big teardrop where Mahomes is kind of bridging that gap right now. But after Mahomes, it's Herbert, it's an upside shot in Dart, who we really like Dart as well in his own right. You're talking Trevor Lawrence, Purdy. I think Herbert and Lawrence are the two big ones who often we see go over Bo Nix quite a bit in startups, where I don't see any more value insulation in those players than I do Bo Nix, not only situationally, but just like what are they offering you on the field consistently compared to what Nix has done for the first 2 years of his career. Bo Nix has been the quarterback 7 the last 2 years. He's been available in every single game that you've needed him. He has been one of the most just consistently productive assets on a week-to-week basis that is a non-rushing QB in Dynasty right now. And if you're getting that at 4th-round prices, I don't know what better asset you could ask for. He's essentially Brock Purdy with more consistent availability. Like Brock Purdy the last 2 years has missed admittedly a significant amount of time, and we love Brock Purdy. Like absolutely love Brock Purdy and have no issue with his price whatsoever. Bo Nix is more consistently on the field, and he's in a situation that merits him being consistently productive because he throws the ball like crazy. And oh, by the way, he actually has some decent rushing upside as well. The last 2 years, 430 rushing yards, 356 rushing yards for 4 and 5 touchdowns respectively. That is notable. That's rushing capability. That's not rushing upside. That's rushing capability that raises a non-rushing upside quarterback's floor. And in the 4th round, if you're going to fade QB, which we've been heavy advocates for mostly, unless you're getting Drake May with like the 7th or 8th overall pick, we've been advocating a lot of people take running back and wide receiver in the first couple of rounds at least, and then go take quarterback later. Bo Nix is kind of case in point why. If you can get Bo Nix at 4th round prices, even in the late 3rd round, I'm totally cool with it. I feel a lot more safer with him than I do for a guy like Lawrence, who has been so up and down in his career, and we've seen a larger sample size there as well, where there's just a lot of inconsistency. And same with Herbert as well, honestly. This is one of the guys who I feel most comfortable with in an offense that, again, Sean Payton is always going to cater to Bo Nix's strengths and what he does so well, and that results in a lot of production.
And then one last quick buy here. We're going to put Cam Ward on this list. I put Cam Ward on this list because I think he could be a guy that rises in value fairly rapidly after the draft simply because he gets a better supporting cast. I think it's highly likely that the Titans draft somebody in the offensive in the 1st round. And if and when they do that, I think you're going to see that boost up Cam Ward's value a little bit because people are already optimistic about him. You add in a good running back, wide receiver, I think he could see an immediate value bump, whether that's Jeremiah Love or it's Carnell Tate or whoever that they draft, or if they even wait to the 2nd. I think the worst case scenario with Cam Ward is he maintains his value. I think he also has a lot to gain by getting a better surrounding cast. The Titans are set up to give him some better weapons, and so when that happens, I think it could be a pretty short-term value win for you guys if you do invest in Cam Ward as like your quarterback 2 or 3 on your dynasty teams, which I really like right now. So there you go. I mean, again, we are 2 weeks out. It's Dynasty Christmas right now, but we are making moves on our own Dynasty teams. Hopefully you're making moves on yours. Your league mates are as active as they've been, so make sure you're trying to be active in your leagues, trying to get as many value wins done in your league, trying to make as many trades as you can. Targeting these guys are generally good starting points. Drop a like on the video. Make sure you're subscribed as well if you play a Dynasty Fantasy Football. We love you guys. We appreciate you. We will see you for a live stream tonight, and we will see you tomorrow night for the all-night live stream. Join us at 8 p.m. We're going to be doing all kinds of stuff. You're going to see Nathan and I rebuild our beloved Colts, in addition to a ton of other fun things we're going to be doing, hang out with you guys. So make sure you tune in tomorrow as well. We love you guys. We appreciate you, and we'll see you soon.